Hello and welcome to this month's video series of Be the Movie Star in Your Own Story. This month we're going to talk about creating your daily inner star, and I'm also going to share a crazy cat and sage story. So first, the topic is creating your daily inner star. What exactly does that mean, creating your daily inner star? Well, that means that you're living your incredible, beautiful life that you're meant to live every single day, not just in special moments, but every day. And it's a lot of work, but not. If you just start focusing on that and making that in your intention, and you do need to work on it. So what I'm going to teach you today is awareness. And I talked a little bit about awareness in my very first video, and today we're going to dive a little deeper into awareness. Awareness of your thoughts and how that thought makes you feel. So again, it's being aware of your thoughts and how does that thought make you feel. Start doing that on a daily basis so that you understand, oh, when I'm thinking this, then I feel awful. Or when I think this, I feel great. And start doing those things. But the best way to keep that awareness is to write it down, jot it down in a little notebook you have on a daily basis. It could just be a quick note. But awareness of all of these thoughts and how it makes you feel. For instance, if you're watching the news and it makes you feel mad or upset or, well, one, maybe there is something you can do to help the situation in a loving way. But if there's nothing that you can immediately do for that situation, by creating your inner loving inside, that is going to go out and help the world in a better way. That is going to create that peace and love because we really are all connected. I can feel it, especially as empaths, but anytime you're aware that if someone is on TV and they're no, and they're all upset, well, how does that make you feel watching that? For me, it makes me feel not good. So that's an example. And awareness of also just being good and being in a good situation, making yourself feel good through your thoughts. Like, for instance, let me give you an example. One time my dog was sick, and at first I was like, I was anxious and I was worried. I'm like, oh my God, what's gonna happen? I almost feel like I have to feel that way. It's kind of a habit that you have to feel anxious and worried if someone you love is sick. And then it dawned on me, because I've heard this for years. No, it doesn't help to be anxious and worry. It never helps to be anxious and worry. And so I started listening to some great music that put me in a good mood. It made me relaxed. It made me feel loving and peaceful and in a great mood. And then I'm like, oh, now I can better help my dog because I can send her good energy. Even being around my more positive, peaceful energy is going to help her get better than if I'm like, oh, I'm all anxious and worried. So this helps not only your own inner star, but everyone around you. And then once you start having these awareness of your thoughts and the ones that you want to continue that are good and positive, and that makes me feel good, that leads into now you're doing the things that make you feel alive, that make you feel passionate, that make you feel good, that's positive and loving, and that's your freaking inner star every day then. And that's the road, but it is going to take a little work to get there. You can't just snap your fingers and, oh, okay, now I'm in my inner star. At least not in my experience. So that's a good way to get to your inner star, awareness of your thoughts, how does that make you feel, which leads to doing the things that make you feel great and passionate. And I'll give you one more tip. One thing, I usually learn at least one good thing from a book. And I know I have read The Course in Miracles and I've learned a lot of great things, but one that always sticks out to me is not to judge things. we learn to judge everything as good or bad, even if it's a coffee cup, even if it's, whatever that is. So take judgment away from situations, from people, or think of something positive about them, especially with people. Look for the good in people, look for the good in things instead of the bad. And that really helps you change focus. And also don't label things as good or bad if something happens. It just is, accept it, and then move on and work on creating that inner star. So that's how to create your daily inner star. Awareness of your thoughts and how that makes you feel, and then moving into action of doing the things you love. And now is the crazy cat and sage story. So the year must have been around 2003, and I was living in New York City, and I was moving to the Upper West Side into a historic building, into an apartment. As soon as I moved into the apartment, one of my cats, I had two, she went under the bed. Her name was Tori. She just went immediately under the bed as soon as I walked into the apartment. And if I would give her food, she would eat. If I took her to the litter box, she would go, but she did not want to come out from under the bed. I talked to the vet. He examined her. He's like, she seems totally normal. I'm not sure. I don't know how to help you. And then, by chance, but nothing is by chance, I ran into a woman who told me, I was telling her about this situation, and she said, you need to sage smudge. I didn't know what sage smudging was, but I was willing to try it. So I found a New York store that sold sage. I went home, I started smudging and doing the thing, and then I opened the door to let the smoke out. And I kid you not, my cat came out from under the bed in the moment that I closed that door and was done saging. That was crazy. And I thought, I'm like, wow, it worked. And I didn't really use sage after that because I'm like, okay, I just need to do it one time. But now I've learned that it's good to do it often because different energies are always coming around, and you can remove anything negative by saging often. I will sage my home at least once a week. And I sage before I meditate. Every time before I meditate, I'll sage. I talked about my meditation process in my last video. And to me, that's very important because I have proof that it actually does work. And now I realize how great it is to use it often. I've heard it even has antibacterial properties when you sage, as far as removing bacteria. I don't know if there is scientific proof about that, but I definitely know that it clears negative energy. Oh, and then in that apartment, I found out later that I was living in, the crazy apartment, I found out later that there was a guy that lived there before me that did not want to leave. So they had a hard time getting him to leave. He would even smear his own feces on the wall. So there was some crazy stuff going on in that apartment before I moved in, and my cat did not want any of that. So that was really interesting that I found out for sure that there was some negative energy in there, and that the sage worked by smudging, by getting it out. So that's my story. And today we talked about creating your daily inner star and how to do that. And I also shared my crazy cat and sage story. I hope you enjoyed today. Thank you for listening. And remember, let yourself take center stage today. Be your inner movie star.